You've likely felt it today, that creeping sensation that your mind isn't as sharp as it used to be, where focus slips, thoughts feel heavy, and basic decisions take twice as long to process. We've been conditioned to attribute this mental drag to the simple reality of getting older or the demands of a high-pressure job. In reality, this fog stems from specific behaviors we have integrated into our standard way of living. This process is neuroplasticity. The brain reshapes its physical structure based on your daily environment. But modern routines train the brain to be distracted. By repeating them, you physically prune the neural pathways built for deep thought, replacing them with short, chaotic links. When these routines repeat daily, they form an alliance that systematically weakens your cognitive capacity, effectively lowering your IQ through physical degradation. The decline begins with your first decision of the day. Upon waking, the brain has been fasting for hours and requires a steady supply of glucose to power its primary functions. This graph tracks the impact of a sugary breakfast. It creates a rapid blood sugar spike, followed immediately by a deep dip below baseline. These constant fluctuations alter the brain's insulin response. Neurons struggle to absorb required energy, becoming less efficient. This creates a tangible deficit before the workday starts. You experience brain fog and a weakened working memory because the biological fuel required for decision-making is simply unavailable. By disrupting your fuel supply early, you leave the system running on empty, ensuring the brain is unprepared for the cognitive load that follows. Once work begins, we force this energy-starved system to process a continuous, impossible load of information. We often label this multitasking, but the brain cannot process multiple streams of data simultaneously. Scientifically, this is rapid task switching. This diagram illustrates the mental friction task switching generates. Every shift in focus consumes significant energy, forcing the prefrontal cortex into a state of continuous overload. We compound this exhaustion during breaks by engaging in passive scrolling on social media. Each scroll delivers a hit of novelty to the dopamine system, without requiring the mind to analyze the content or build connections between ideas. Without the quiet time needed to encode information, the brain's capacity to retain data collapses. Research suggests this habit physically reduces gray matter in regions responsible for impulse control. Forcing an already low-energy brain to switch tasks and consume passive content erodes its structural capacity for focus. After a day of processing overload, the brain requires a period of physical repair to offset the damage. However, living in a state of persistent tension keeps cortisol levels elevated. These high levels act as a freeze on neuroplasticity, preventing the brain from adapting or healing. This diagram shows the anatomical impact of chronic stress. The hippocampus, the brain's memory center, visibly contracts, which strips away your cognitive flexibility and leaves you in a reactive state. The final disruption occurs when sleeping under 7 hours, cutting off the brain's self-cleaning window. Normally, deep sleep flushes out toxic daily byproducts. Without it, toxins densely build up around neural pathways, failing to consolidate information into memory. When chronic stress and sleep deprivation block these vital maintenance cycles, daily cognitive fatigue becomes a permanent structural decline. Every stage of this cycle is linked. Unstable fuel leads to scattered focus leads to memory collapse, stress shrinks the tissue, and lack of sleep prevents repair. Because the brain is resilient, this decline is not an inevitability. It is the result of specific inputs that can be changed. Neuroplasticity can be used to drive recovery. By changing just one daily habit, you trigger the same biological mechanisms to physically reshape your brain for sharpness. Rather than accepting these behaviors as normal, choose exactly one habit to eliminate today. Immediate cognitive recovery begins the moment you change the input.